want to tell you the truth. But first, let me tell you a story. Some years ago, I was sent by my church, this church, to represent it at a synod. That's like a churchy, council-y thing. And the invite suggested that we take along something representative of our place. I gave this a lot of thought. I turned up to find everybody else had read the letter differently, probably correctly. They all had some item of historic importance or ancient, inscribed plackiness and chaliciness. And I found myself there with a bag of pick and mix sweets from Pittsmore Post Office. Now, I had my reasons. I felt like a twit at the time, but I had my reasons. I was trying to symbolize the postmodern nature of our parish and of our culture. Yep, they didn't get it either. I'm not surprised. Don't worry about it. Postmodern, when you say that word, some people regard it as pretentious or strange. It can have all sorts of effects. I actually think it's quite a beautiful word, quite a down-to-earth word. It's a word that helps me understand the spirit of the age. See, I want to tell you the truth, but the truth has changed. Like any word that begins with the prefix post, this is about building on something that's gone before. In this case, the modern era, during which we felt that through the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment, we'd nail the truth. We'd get to the point where we'd be able to tell people, this is the truth, we got it. In sweet terms, it's a bit like saying, we've tried all the sweets, barley sugar's the one you should all be eating. Forget your raspberry ruffles, forget your refreshers. Barley sugar is the future, barley sugar is the sweet of sweets. The philosopher of postmodernism, Jean-Jacques Lyotard, he actually defines it as involving the ditching of big stories, the ditching of big truths. Such that what we end up with instead is us with our small truths and our small stories sharing together. Something much more like a bag of interesting and enticing sweeties, rather than, just having fudge. See, I want to tell you the truth. But if you say the truth, doesn't that sort of imply that you've got it? That you've nailed it? That's an idea that postmodernism quite literally blows apart. 15th of July, 1972. It was a Saturday, 3:32 in the afternoon. That's the point in time that the architectural historian Charles Jenks calls the birth of the postmodern era, because it was at that point in time that the Pruitt-Igoe housing project in St. Louis, Missouri, was destroyed. Built in the 50s, Pruitt-Igoe had epitomized so much of modern planning, straight lines, concrete blocks. You know the sort of thing. We had them in our own city here. Modern planning, solving ancient problems. It failed abysmally. And on that Saturday afternoon, it was blown to pieces. For architecture, the future would lie not in the straight lines and the big blocks, but in the complex, the personal, the pick and mix. And round about that time in our culture as well, truth changed. From these systematic lines of reason, these big ideological blocks, it's become much more about the complex, the personal, the pick and mix. You see, I want to tell you the truth. But did you notice the I in that sentence? Because what this turn in our thinking does, it takes the truths we tell and asks, who's doing the telling? It takes the mix and asks, who picked these? It takes the very things we point out and takes a very good look at the hand that's doing the pointing. Now, in this way of doing truth, we deconstruct almost as much as we affirm, because it reminds us that our view of the world, reality, the truth, is just that. It's not the world. It's not reality. And it is not the truth. It's what I said it is. It's just our view of the world, reality, the truth. The view from here. The philosopher Wittgenstein was once talking to somebody about the fact that people once believed that the earth stood still and the sun went around it. And the friend commented that, he said, well, actually, it does look like that's what's happening. And Wittgenstein said, yeah, we think something very different. How does it look for us? Point being, of course, it looks exactly the same. The truth isn't what you see, it's what you make of it. You and I can look at the same thing and see it completely differently. Jastrow's Duck Rabbit from his 1900 book, Fact and Fable in Psychology. Some of you may have seen it before, but some of you will be seeing a duck, and some of you will be seeing a rabbit. Super. If you are seeing, see those two sticky out things? If you are seeing a beak, then, hang on, I get this wrong sometimes. If you're seeing a beak, you're seeing a duck, and if you're seeing ears, then you're seeing a rabbit. Some of you are whispering to each other, pointing out even now how it works for you. It's very postmodern of you. But some of you are actually figuring out how it works, how you see it differently to people. You and I can look at the same thing, and yet I could be interpreting it as the sun revolving my static planet. Well, for you, I don't know. Maybe the earth moved for you. I want to tell you the truth, but I can only ever tell it from here, same as you can only ever tell it from there. Because what we've realized is the truth isn't some lump of stuff that we go out and get and bring back to the table. It's something in which we're intimately involved. You don't get ready, picked, pick, and mix. Do you know what they call ready, picked, pick, and mix? They call it a bag of sweets. Because half the fun of pick and mix is in the act of picking. When it comes to the truth, the very act of seeking it, in some ways, contributes to its construction. And let me just be clear about one thing. What I'm describing here, this view of truth, this is not some fallback position. This isn't some point where we say, oh no, we've lost the truth. We dropped it somewhere back there. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's make it up. No, the way we share, the way we construct, the way we do it in the postmodern era, it's a very beautiful thing. I mean, look at the alternatives. Fundamentalism, that ain't no sweet. That's a nasty little cough drop from the family of modernity. And the 20th century taught us how dangerous it is when ideologies take their truths and jackboot over everybody else's. Contrast that with the image of the sharing of truths, being like everybody sitting down, having a nice bag of sweets. The post-war politician, Aneurin Bevan, the Labour post-war politician, the Welsh Labour post-war politician, Aneurin Bevan. He was very fond of discussions and debate. He'd have loved this evening. This would have been right up his street. He used to call it star tapping. But he had a favourite invite at events like this. He'd say to people, right, this is my truth, tell me yours. This is my truth, tell me yours. It did go on to be the title of a Manic Street Preachers album. That's the Welsh for you. We've got to keep it in the family. But I so want to tell you my truth. But for this to work, I will need you to tell me yours. It's in the mix from which we pick that the quality of the pick and mix is going to emerge ultimately. That's why it's so appropriate that this event, this sharing of beliefs, ideas, experiences, and truths takes place in Pittsmore Parish Church, in your parish church. Wherever we've come from, those of us who cling on to a particular creed, viewpoint, idea, truth. Postmodernism calls us to open the bag, share it out, and see what other people have got in their bags of sweets. See what they're bringing to the party. Say what we've tasted, and see what they've got. Because you see, then we come to the best part of the whole process. It's the part when you get to suck it and see. Thank you.